It is time for another special edition of Litter Media Live. I'm your host, Dan Ramey, and I have lovely ladies next to me here today. We have Susan Metzger to my immediate left. She is the Community Engagement Coordinator for Pickaway Addiction Action Coalition, and Amy Reimer, who is the Program Director. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
In just a moment, we'll tell you what they're doing to help folks who are addicted in Pickaway County. Details are coming up right after this from our friends at McDonald's.
Whenever I first applied for the ArchWiz opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
I first met Susan Metzger just a couple of weeks ago. This was at Dance for Kids' Sake with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I said, we need to talk about your program. And we appreciate you coming here today, and Amy coming down as well. First time in the building here, so to speak, so all the nerves are beyond them. Let's talk about this particular program that you have, the importance of what we're seeing today, especially with Issue 2 being passed yesterday. Talk about what's going on in Circleville throughout Pickaway County with your program.
Well, Pickaway Addiction Action Coalition, we've been in existence since 2016. We are a nonprofit that deals with substance misuse for both the adult and the youth, which tends to be more of our focus since we are a recipient of the Drug-Free Communities Grant, a federal grant for over 5 years that allows us to do programs and activities geared at high school students in order to reduce substance misuse within our county. Mm-hmm. So we're working with the 4 local school districts. We're doing some outreach through our partners, collaborating partners. But yes, it is a definite problem within Pickaway County, and we are looking and offering ways to the school districts and to organizations in order to help reduce the use.
Are you seeing progress being made?
Yes and no. We see the progress being made that a lot of the youth are aware of vaping. We have 2 substances that we're definitely focusing on, and it is alcohol and tobacco, which includes vaping and e-cigarettes. And just that the students are aware that it is a concern within their school systems. And a lot of marketing has gone out through other prevention, I want to say like agencies throughout the state of Ohio, and help to promote that this is not something that the youth need to be involved in. Mm-hmm. So vaping is very high on the docket, if you will. And as you said, with the passing of Issue 2, the marijuana being a recreational product, it could lead and have high concern that it will lead to more substance misuse.
Yeah. Amy, your husband's a coach. you're around this in that aspect. And high school kids.
Yes.
We're learning that it's younger than high school kids nowadays.
Yes, it is. It's very sad. I worked in the high school for over 16 years, and I've seen it firsthand, and I just question these kids. Why would you try to take it and use it not knowing what's in it? And we've seen it that it's hit the middle school and it's starting to hit the elementaries, which is really, really sad and scary that we need to go lower than the high schools. Because back in the day when I was in school, it was the high schoolers. But now they're exposed to so much out in the community, at home life, everything else like that. The social media is a big thing.
I recall, and I grew up in the 70s and late 60s, early 70s, and running into LSD, that seemed to be a big city problem. Marijuana didn't really come along until around the late 70s, thereabouts, for the high schoolers.
Yes.
And then, of course, cocaine, when that came along, that changed the game. Mm-hmm. It's led to meth and everything else.
Right.
So having this continue to develop is tough to keep up with on your side of things in the prevention area.
Correct. We definitely will be ramping up our prevention activities, programming, education forces towards marijuana. We are also involved in the opioid settlement dollars that are distributed out the state of Ohio. So we have some resources there, but it's like coming to the students at all angles, and sometimes I consider it like whack-a-mole. You know, you take out one thing and something else pops up. Mm-hmm. And so now with this filtering down to the middle school and some of it into the elementaries, it's going to take more people. It's going to take more members of our community to be involved within our coalition. And so that's an ask that we're asking to possibly those folks who are listening at this time.
And it really comes down to their home lives. They learn these things most of all through what happens at home. And having been a parent, you do what you can to help your kids, but they pay attention to the atmosphere and the environment they're grown up in. Yes. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of bred into it in some fashion.
Mm-hmm. We really would like to work with all the schools in our community and in our county to say that the schools aren't alone. There are staff, there are people out there trained to help. I mean, those teachers and administrations are very overworked, and to put something else on them, that there are people out in our community that can help with training or help with classes or just to talk to these kids. You know, where'd you get it from? Why'd you start it? Did you take it from mom who was working night shift? You know, we need to find that root problem and realize these vapes are so much worse than even cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize it. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have fruit flavors and they're smelly and they're really enticing, but they're not good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know we had the Hope Partnership Project in here recently, and one of the diagrams they shared with us was a pencil. And on the tip of that pencil was a particle of fentanyl, right, and how many people it could impact. Yeah. I don't think many people, or a low percentage of people, understand the dangers that we find ourselves in. And these kids taking anything, that fentanyl's laced in there.
Yes.
It could really create some difficulties.
Yes.
With the fentanyl also, that we've been trying to market the idea, if you do take a prescription, make sure it is from a doctor and it is filled by a pharmacist. I know that there are agencies and businesses online that can fill prescriptions, but just to make sure that it's credited, that you know where you are getting your prescriptions. Because, as you say, the mix and match of different scripts, it might look enticing by the color, by the size, just by the graphics, and it could be laced with fentanyl. You have no way of knowing.
Right.
No way of knowing.
And we want to make sure kids aren't going through their grandparents' medicine cabinets.
Definitely. Definitely.
And let's be honest, as we age, there are certain things we have to take, and it's a danger to the kids.
Right.
But if they can get their hands on it because they know they can get money out of it, they're in some trouble.
We did have a drug take-back day, and we'll have another one in the spring. Mm-hmm. We also share and pass out. We were at a health fair this past Friday, 55 or over, and we passed out doTERRA bags where you can dispose of those old prescriptions or prescriptions that shouldn't be in the hands of young kids, and you can get rid of them and throw them in your trash.
They're environmentally safe, made of a cornstarch-based product. So people are like, can we put this in the trash? Definitely. Please do not throw your medications down the toilet. That is not the proper way of disposal. So we definitely promote the doTERRA, and then the chances of somebody getting into opioids, Narcan is something that all households at this point in time should have on hand, which is a life-saving product, if you will, and it is given as you cannot administer it to yourself. if you go into an opioid overdose. So a lot of promotion, again, through other prevention agencies, as with us, is the use of Narcan to have on hand.
I know there is that line that is drawn by society, let them die off. And then there's also the other line is like, wait a second, let's take away the stigma
Yes.
of everything. And if that were you, would you not want to have a second chance?
Yes. The stigma, the education is definitely needed. And just as you mentioned, Dan, and why are we Narcanning this individual? They do deserve a chance to live, and maybe it just might lead them into recovery, into one of our various agencies and businesses that we do have in Pickaway County to come off of substance misuse.
Again, I asked the question, are you seeing progress? And we hope that progress is being made, but it is an ongoing upstream battle that you're fighting.
Yes.
And I think we're getting a better handle on it.
I think more of our communities are becoming more aware of it, and it's not going to go away. There has to be parameters associated with what is tolerable. We're looking right now to see what type of, like just within the schools, to make sure that if a student is caught with substances that are unallowed, as far as not allowable within the school system, how can that student get additional help? Is it something through their parents or kinship, whoever may be taking care of that individual? And then also maybe beefing up some of their school policies. That may be something that we need to be looking into. It is not a good, a good idea that a student gets suspended and then they're left at home for 10 days.
Right.
Yeah. So, so some new things have rolled out by the Ohio Department of Health in regards to looking at school board policies and different types of programs where the student is, kept in school, but also receives some counseling and understanding how harmful this product that they're dabbling with could be.
It's unfortunate how we stumble into things, but when you look at it, it has reached every social economic area.
It has.
And so if you're in the best of neighborhoods, it's there.
Correct.
If you're in the worst of neighborhoods, it's there.
Yes.
And everywhere in between.
Yes.
So this is something you have to focus on.
Yes.
I feel really confident that we have a new superintendent of Pickaway Education Service Center, and we have been working with him, and he has been working with the county schools, all the school districts, and I feel like we're building that rapport that in a positive way, that we can hopefully help these kids and broaden their knowledge of how dangerous these vapes are.
One of the things that we were able to establish and get off the ground, thanks to Amy, is what we call the Youth Prevention Ambassadors, which are students from each of the 4 school districts, major school districts in Pickaway County, where they can do activities within their own drug-free clubs. Yes, their clubs may go by something within their own schools in regards to that. However, to be able to do something across the board with all the school districts that other students in the population can see that they are role models. And they're, again, to garner more people on board through these high school clubs. Our hope and intent is to have them mentor the middle school and, down to the elementary school. So we're building an ambassadors club.
And these kids during Pumpkin Show made posters on poster board about what their schools are prevention-wise, and Westfall won. So we'll be going out in December to share some donuts with them. So we were excited about that. But by golly, these kids are very creative and crafty.
Yes. Yeah.
I was impressed.
So, yeah, they're eager to make a difference within their own districts, and that's reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
My step-granddaughter is a maid ambassador here in Ross County, and her father dealt with addiction. And to hear her tell her story was not easy to hear.
It's hard.
And there's kids impacted like that. We don't realize the generational impact that is being made that went unguarded for so long. And it was usually mom and dad saying, don't do.
Right.
And we are all part of that Nancy Reagan
generation.
just say no generation. But it's not easy to say no. It does, like you say, it's enticing.
Yes.
And if we have seen our parents do it, there's going to be a kind of a track record, so to speak.
But if we can get one kid
Yeah.
to go home and say, Mom, that's bad, or Dad, or Aunt and Uncle, that's, or the big brother who is buying them, and say, that's not good for us, and I want you to be around. I want you to be able to see what I can do. And that's what I told the kids at Circleville. Every one of them has a path, and they can do it if, they make smart choices, good choices, respectful and kind. Kindness goes a long way.
There's nothing that'll hit the heart as much as when a little girl says to Dad or Grandpa that I'd like you to dance with me at my wedding.
Yes.
I want you to be there.
Yeah. I want you to be there.
Is there anything that we have missed?
Well, a couple things. That PAC, as far as we're known within the community, we were just recently recognized by a White House event.
Oh.
Yes, this at the end of October, we were able to travel to Washington, D.C., and be a part of one of 15 blue ribbon coalitions in the nation, recognized by the Office of National Drug Control Policy. Yes, and it was very rewarding to see that they not only partnered with other coalitions, but agencies, and then people actually on the Hill that we got to hear from. So we're very pleased of that recognition and distinguished award, if you will.
Not just on the streets of Pickaway County, but as close as Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
They know about the pumpkin.
Yes.
If folks want to find out, and I know we've got the web address scrolling through here, but how do they reach you if they find that they have a need?
Through our webpage, as far as we do have like an inquiry, contact us. If you find that you are in a substance misuse, please, you can reach out to us. My cell number, 740-207-1026. We can definitely link you with agencies and businesses that do deal with substance misuse.
And you might ask yourself, do I have a problem? Well, take a look at the information on the website.
Yes.
Not only that, if you're one of those folks that say, I've tried and I just can't, it's worth trying again.
Yes. Oh,
There are people here to support you.
That road to recovery starts with that first step.
Yes.
exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Might be a baby step, but it's a step.
And we do have it in Pickaway County.
Very good. Thank you for coming and sharing with us
Dan.
today.
Thank you.
Again, Susan Metzger and Amy Reimer. Of course, you can find more details on the web address that's scrolling across the screen right now. Thank you for watching this edition of Litter Media Live.